Now, we know that you're coming to the HTC tablets and some of the Samsung devices. Do you have any plan to have to ship OnLive on new PCs, like where it's already installed?
Some PC makers have come to us to talk about that, and because they have their, we have our NDAs with them, we can't go and disclose any details there. But what you're describing is kind of a pretty easy thing for us to do. Another thing that's a variant on that is we can make OnLive work before the PC really boots up. I think you've seen that some PCs can play a DVD or something like that
Yeah.
before it boots up. So people have spoken to us about that as well. And the schedule for when these things roll out has a lot of things that figure into it. It's the manufacturer's schedule of what they want to do when their products are coming out. And frankly, we have to triage what projects that we take on. And so, sometimes we go and say, look, we'd love to do this with you, but we can't do it until this date because we're busy working on this other thing.
How would that be utilized? Like where it came up as your PC was turned on? How would that work?
Well, I think you're used to the instant turn on something like a tablet or a phone, right?
Yeah.
So imagine if you hit the power button on your PC and that was it. I mean, it would just immediately connect.
Okay. So
The other thing, I'm sorry?
would that have something to do with the OnLive web browser, like something like, or the virtual desktop, where you just hit a power button and that comes up?
Yeah. Well, the thing is, even to get a browser running on a PC, I think you are aware you usually have to boot an operating system. But OnLive itself doesn't rely on the OnLive client that runs on your PC. It doesn't rely on an operating system. It doesn't rely on Windows or Linux or it doesn't rely on Java or Flash. There's really no underlying code. It sits as a standalone, self-sustaining piece of code, which is, for example, why it's easy for us to port it to things like the OnLive games, the OnLive microconsole or Blu-ray players and TVs. A lot of TVs, for example, we'll be running on. There really is no OS per se. I mean, there's a little, a tiny kernel that runs on the thing to go and decide what to run. But when you'll be seeing standalone apps running on TVs, they're not running on anything. So in the case of a PC booting up, it would literally just, the Intel or AMD processor on it would just begin executing OnLive. It'd come up with a little connection screen, and it would go and take a look to see if there's a network connection available. And if there is, most likely through Wi-Fi, then it would then initiate a connection sequence and then connect, and there it is, and you'd be connected.
Sounds pretty cool.
And then if you do want to browse, for example, then with the new browsing feature that we'll be introducing later this summer, that you'll have a super fast browser and a full featured browser. But rather than having that browser have to run on the PC, and any browser, whether it's Firefox or Internet Explorer or Safari, they all utilize the services that are provided by the operating system. For example, how to render different fonts or how to deal with a Flash plugin or something like that. Those are all things it's kind of tough to do unless you have an operating system. But the beauty of OnLive is there's no operating system needed in the local device. There's only an operating system needed in the cloud.